Avatar Legends, the fighting game, is finally out, and in this video I'm gonna give you 5 tips to get into the game and essentially ease your way into the learning experience for this fighting game in particular, which is very easily one of the coolest releases of the year and in a long time. To be honest, this is a very cool game with a lot of love in it. So let's get into 5 tips to actually get good quickly and effectively in Avatar Legends. Okay, so the first tip I'm going to give you is that you need to worry about learning the dedicated anti-air button that your character has. This is a game that is very chaotic, it has a very fast pace and a lot of movement options, and the thing about it is that you are going to get jumped in by people 24/7 in the gameplay loop of this game. So it is a very valuable and important resource, or essentially knowledge, to understand what is the anti-air options that your character has in the game. There is a universal anti-air option, which is actually doing air throws. They are really good to stop people when they're trying to jump in on you, but also some characters have really good anti-air normals, and you can actually get super high damage combos from a conversion directly that is just from an anti-air. So try to explore specifically what buttons your character has that maybe could be good for anti-airs. It might be your stand heavy, your down heavy, there's different options, and also of course don't forget about the universal option of the air throw. But do not sleep on the power of anti-airs in this game. They are much better than people think and really important, and you can get big damage out of an anti-air in Avatar Legends. The second tip or advice that I'm going to give you, and you need to incorporate it into your mindset about this game, is that movement is king. Okay, the general movement options of this game are really strong, and many of the characters in the game have stuff like, for example, multiple air dashes, flights, also crazy like super fast dashes in the ground, and more. So you need to understand exactly what resources and movement options the character that you want to play has. You can check them by, for example, pressing directions and the flow button, and you're gonna see that your character might do a run, or maybe like a backdash into a jump, and then you can do an air dash and stuff like that. You need to just check out the character specifically that you want to play, because it changes a lot depending, on your pick. For example, characters like Toph can barely move, and other ones can move like crazy, like Azula. So it is really relevant for you to just check out the character, go to the move list and see what exactly they have for movement and how you can abuse that, because the pacing again of this game is really fast, and if you don't know how to move, you are going to be behind everybody else, because it is arguably one of the most important things about the gameplay of this game. Then for tip or advice number 3, we have to talk a little bit about defense, because in this game there's actually a lot of system mechanics that are only related to defensive options that are really strong and universal that every single character can use. For example, it is really strong for you to understand flow, which is a button that you can just keep press and you can dodge attacks, and it's a really strong and simple defensive option that is universal for everybody. You also have stuff that is more advanced like flow reversal or guard reversals. You also have a flow escape and more. So there is a lot of stuff on defense that you need to learn. Sadly, I can't go on detail about all of these mechanics in this video because it is not a full guide and I have a very limited amount of time to actually record this, but I just wanted to mention it, even though I can't really explain it in detail, because it is really relevant, and I feel like a lot of people are going to ignore the defensive options in the game just, in favor of offense, which is the natural thing that happens with a lot of fighting games. But in this game in particular, a lot of the universal defensive mechanics are insanely strong. So press a start or select in your game, go to the command list, go to the system or universal mechanics, and read every single defensive one and try to learn them, because they are more important and also useful than you think. Then for tip number 4 or advice number 4, something very simple but super important is that you need to avoid getting into unbalanced state. In this game, there is a bar or a resource that is universal that is connected to flow, and if it goes all the way to 0, you go into unbalanced state. And you can think, okay, it's not that bad, right? I'm gonna recover, it's okay. But the thing is that when you are unbalanced, for example, if people grab you or they throw you, they actually get a full combo route. They can get 60% damage just because of a throw, and then on top of that, they're doing that combo for the love of the game, because if they have resources, they can just do their level 3 or like cinematic super and you're gone. There is insta kills in this game if you are on unbalanced state. So please avoid going into unbalanced state. Worry about the flow, universal resource bar that there is on the screen. Try to never make it go to 0, because it is worse than you think, and if the opponent especially has meter to do their cinematic super, you should avoid it at all costs, because one interaction can cost you the entire fight. And then the last advice advice or tip that I want to give you, number 5, is that you need to worry about the intricacies and details of the moveset of the character that you want to play in Avatar Legends. And the reason for that is that this is one of those fighting games in which, even though the mechanics and the overall universal options are really good, at the same time, the most important thing is simply your expertise of the character that you want to play, because in this game every single character is extremely different from each other, and it is very obviously kind of like the goal of the gameplay design of the game that the most important part of the gameplay are the characters, not necessarily the system mechanics. So if you want to play Korra, for example, which is the character that I've been using to showcase, this guide and try to help you to learn the game maybe quicker and more effectively, then you just have to play Korra, get into the command list of the character, check all the details, understand some, micro interactions over time with the actual character and other ones, because that is going to be the overall kind of like a skill check of this game. Not only understanding the basic mechanics, but how good are you actually over time, over the months after launch, getting into understanding the kind of like intricacies and layers of the character that you like. It is going to be really relevant, so I wanted to mention it because it is sometimes, not that obvious maybe for some people that is very important in this game in particular. So if you like a character, you love them, just check all the details about them because it's going to be worth it in the long run. So that was the guide. I hope that it was useful, at least on a first layer, to help you get and ease the experience into the gameplay of Avatar Legends. It is a very fun game, so enjoy it a ton. Thank you for watching and see you on the next one. Take care.